Hey, it's Software Student here, and today we're going to be talking about inputs, or more specifically the input tag, and I'm just going to give a few examples, but there are quite a few of them, so I'm not going to showcase everything. And I'm inside Visual Studio Code, where I have a live server set up so I can showcase the output. In the last episode we did Hello World. Let's just delete that one, and let's do an input tag. And as you can see, we need to define a type. So this is the first tag where we don't need a beginning, a start and end tag. We can just have it inside one tag, and we can add some elements telling some more information about our tag. In this case, that our input tag is of the type text. So let me just save this and showcase that we now just simply get a text input box. Write some text, and for now, we can't really do anything, but with basic HTML, we just do the markup of the page, the setup, so we don't really need any functionality. That would be added later with JavaScript, for example. We can also do a button, for example. And you can see here we get a button. It's a bit boring, so we might add a value. Let's just call it button. So we add some text onto our button. And later on, we would add some IDs to our button, for example, and then we would use JavaScript to tell that the button with this ID, so this specific button, has this functionality. But for now, just using some basic setup, just in plain HTML, we add a button and it doesn't do anything. But we can add some text and we have a button. And as you might see, basic HTML, we just going to the right, just adding stuff. And if we wanted to add a new line, I would just use the BR tag. It's a break tag that breaks the page, or in this case, breaks the line, and add a button at the bottom of our text input. So let's do another break, and let's add another input type. So we have I want to show my button, add my text. Let's do a number input. And the difference between just text input and my number input is that my number input, first of all, only take numbers. So when I try to get some letters, it doesn't add, and we can just add up here as well, the slider. We then also have some checkboxes and some radio buttons. So let's try adding a few checkboxes. One for now. And we then have the checkbox we can check on and off. And we can do the same with our radio button. Let's go radio. And we have a radio button. And one of the things that's a bit more interesting about our radio buttons and our checkboxes, that we can add a label. So let's make it a bit more proper. We have a break. Let's see, now we put them down. That's fine. Then before after our checkbox, we would add a label. We would go checkbox. And we would then add a for. Then give our checkbox an ID. Call it check one for now. And then our label is connected to our check one checkbox. We can then now click on the text element to activate our checkbox. And we can do the same thing for our radio button, where if we add a label, radio, for our radio button and ID, one, save, and then click on our text to impact our checkboxes and radio buttons because they are connected through our for. And let's say we wanted to add a few more radio buttons. Just normally just having one doesn't make too much sense. Radio 1, 2, and 3. We then need to change the IDs. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. And now we have the radio buttons, but as you might see, they are not connected and can't be turned off. So we would need to add a name, which is kind of like the information given when we get some output from our radio button. We would use the name to define the output name. So I'm just going to give all the radio buttons the same name. If I could be inside my radio button, there we go. There we go. So now they are connected, so we can only click one of them at a time, and they can be unclicked like a checkbox. So that is kind of the basics of our inputs. Of course, there are quite a few more input types, but if you want to have a look at them, just look online. A lot of documentation, but this is the basic concept of creating an input tag, adding a type, and for some cases like the radio and checkboxes, we can add some labels and connect them to our inputs. So if you enjoyed this quick showcase of how I would do some basic input types in HTML, please leave a like and subscribe, and I wish you all a wonderful day.